All right, see if you can hear me now. If you're joining us in the first time, we had no sound. So if you can hear us this time, okay, this whole thing about turning the mic on turns out to be important. All right, we'll give a minute and see if anyone shows up. I did not announce this live stream. I was too excited. I also was setting up some new equipment, and so we're going to give it just a minute. But here's what we're doing today. The Mosaic Palette 3 is finally here. And if you don't know what the Mosaic Palette is, it is a device. Where's my other one? Let me get my palette too. Here's the palette 2 to compare. We're going to look at this guy. It takes as input 4 different filaments, and they come in the bottom in 4 little spots. And then you paint, or you have a model done in such a way that you have different colors defined for the hair, the body, the nose, the shirt. And then when you send it, the printer is going to print the model, and the palette is going to send the right colors at the right time, so that in the end, your model is all filament. There's no need to paint or anything. And it's done completely by this guy who handles what colors to send when. And it does that by taking 4 different filaments, and it splices together. This thing right here is the splice core. And so the filament comes in, and it cuts 2 pieces and holds them together. It adds heat and pressure and lets it cool. And then it sends it through this buffer and then off to the printer. And it's this interesting little communication dance that the 2 of them do, because the palette and the printer each have their own jobs to do. And it's it's really interesting technology. So this is great. It works well, but it doesn't work perfectly all the time, because there's a lot of things that can happen when you are cutting and splicing all different types of filament, especially when you've got a really big print that is 20 hours long and you have to build a purge tower to go with it. So we'll talk about all of that. But today, what we're going to do, I'll wait to see if anybody joins, is we're going to open this box, the Palette 3. It has been very long awaited. Mosaic announced it. Everyone was excited. Lots of people, me included, said, yes, I want one, because I love my 2. And then they had some issues with their manufacturer. And I think they made a very good decision. What they said was, we had a delivery date, and boy, that's super shiny. Look at that. Oh, I'll have to watch the lights. We had our test units, and they were working fine. And then we were having them produced in China, and the particular way, I can't remember exactly what it was. It was the way they were doing the molding of the frames, the cases. Their plastic turned out to be slightly different from a stress management perspective. And so when they got their units in to test, they were having some issues, and they had to do some redesign. And so instead of saying, hey, we'll deliver this on the date we promised, and then have people unhappy because things were breaking, they said, we need to push this out. And I think it was a good choice, even though we had to wait longer. So all right. So let me see. This is probably largely going to be a big bit of playback. Let's go ahead and let's open the box. And today we're going to open it up. And I have a decent sized desk here. However, having the printer, the cameras, the laptop, the palette, and 8 filaments is going to be a bit of a trick. I'm not sure where I'm going to put the 8 filaments. I have my Palette 2 holder back here, and I have some half spools or some quarter spools on it, because I think I might be able to actually fit all that on the table. So we'll see. Oh, hello. Historically, Mosaic does a very good job of packaging. This may be very shiny. Let me tip it over. There we go. All right. Put this away too soon. If you see anything that is not working well, especially like I've got the Anycubic Photon X over here, and it is covered with a piece of black because it is very shiny itself, and that means the lights, no matter how I position them, glare right off it. So it's in hiding today. I got this last night. I really wanted to open it, and I thought, well, all right. And we're going to see what the first print is, because there's configuration and setup. And when you do the setup with Mosaic, and I actually did not do this when I got my palette too, and I should have, because you're telling Mosaic or your palette how your printer prints so that it knows when to send filament when. And let's see, this is the little Mosaic logo. And usually the first print is a keychain type thing. It's pretty fast. I'm talking into a box. It's a pretty fast print. We'll see if that's what they're doing. All right. Stickers. It's my children expect there to be candy in everything, because I don't know if Purge started it or someone else started it with the gummies. I know Purge does that, but there's candy in lots of things. And man, they ask, is there candy, Mom? Is there candy? And they're just not that excited about stickers. All right. We have a thank you. Let's see. Let me go here. We have a thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the next generation of multi-material printing. We're here for you. Share your projects. Actually, Mosaic has a really nice thing they do on Instagram where if you share your prints, they select winners every week. So it says the same thing in multiple languages. All right. We have our Mosaic stickers. And this is the Getting Started manual that I did not completely follow for the palette too. All right. So that's the beginning. And we're actually going to follow this completely. There's an astronaut on here. Let's see. Don't forget to pick your son up from school. That's my don't forget to pick your son up from school today. That happens every weekday. And it's not that ever happened once. So I have an alarm because we don't want that to not ever happen again. Okay. So it feeds and splices 8 filaments into your printer in real time, allowing you to create multi-material. Let's see. It's a revolutionary 3D printing experience. All right, what's in the box? Let's go back and look in the box here. Okay, that one's not coming out. These are, wow, they're really wound tightly this time. So these are the splice tubes, and they're going to be, if it's like the last time, they're going to be 3 different lengths of these because it depends. Your palette might be very close to your printer. Like in this case, it might need the short tube. It might be that they're on a different shelf. So you get a short, medium, and long tube so that you can take, as the splice filament comes out of your palette and goes into your printer, you get the right splice tube. And there is some calibration that's going to need to be done, and that we will do. It's heavy. There we go. Okay, actually, wow, that is quite compact. Let me get it out here. All right. All right, so well, we have this in here. Let's pull this up. This is probably the stand that's going to be on. Oh, wait, you've got, oh, this is what I was looking forward to. I wanted to see how the spools are arranged. How are you going to fit 8 spools, right? That 8 spools is pretty wide. For this, I thought I would use quarter spools because I can fit it more easily on this desk that originally felt so large and now feels small. All right. Boom. In the back. Now, this is, wow, is that heavy? This, holy smokes, that's heavy. This it feels like it weighs as much as the palette itself. All right, so let's get this out. Let's stick this back here. Safety. Oh, wow, it's got a really nice, very, very sticky rubber so that your palette will not slide. It's going to do a lot of vibrations. We have another layer of foam. 1 and 2. This must be, oh, this is the filament spool. Yeah, let's see how the filament spool is set up. So this will be with those, I'm guessing. And we have 2 boxes of other things. That's it. That is it. All right, let's get off overhead for a minute. Everything out of the way. All right, so what is in the package? We have our palette and its very heavy stand. Inside these boxes, one of these will be the power. And these are the parts. So there is the Palette 3 and the Palette 3 Pro, and there is a 4-color option and an 8-color option. And so the Pro is the 8-color option, and the non-Pro, I guess it's just the Palette 3, is the 4-color option. And so this one is the 8-color option because I needed all the colors. You all know I am crazy about filament. How could I not go for the 8-color option? Okay, so we have your plug as well as multiple geography adapters. We're getting less bulk here. Oh, hello. Hi, Sinister. Wait, Sinister Grin? I mean, hello. I have to look way over here. Okay. So we've got that. Let me see what else we've got. This little box actually is going to have a lot of value dollar-wise. These are going to be some of the additional parts, replacement parts. For instance, there are these little pieces here. Oh, I got to go back to my other one here. These little tiny pieces here, and these go into, these are your splice tubes, and they are a very fancy version of a PTFE tube. So what happens as the filament goes in, you are going to have on one side your red and the other side the blue, and this is where the pressure is added. I'll see if I can get a close-up of it later, but this is a consumable because so much is asked of this very little time. I think they're about $5 each, and it's well worth the $5 considering the amount of work they have to do. So different things, you're going to have thousands of splices that happen, especially if you have a model. It depends on how it works. Some models you will know exactly because as you go over to Canvas, you paint the model, you add the different pieces in, and then you say slice it, and we'll go through what happens with that. As soon as you load it up into the palette, it will tell you you have 238 slices or you have 917 splices. And so that's a lot of work to ask when they're doing heavy heat, heavy compression. And there's configuration that you do. Some configuration will have those last longer, but maybe not as stable.
Questions.
Where did it go down? Is it? Hello? Oh, what happened? Darn it. Sorry, guys. Flashing blue man. Oh, hey! Oh, yeah, because it was in the wrong spot. Well, hello, folks. Wait, where's this plug go? Oh. Oh, I see. I can't do it like this. Oh, sorry, folks, for the delay. I'm going to have to pull you out again so I can plug this in. Where's the Hold on. Is it working? It's working? I'm sorry. Holy smokes. I've been using this mic for a long time, but we've always had it powered with the camera. And yeah. So apparently the battery was dead. So we have now my tech support that's my husband. He got us going. Okay, so I apologize. Let's back up a little bit and I'll talk about what's in this box, which really is these little attachment pieces that you'll attach to your printer and your USB stick and some USB cables. And these little, I don't know if I was cutting out for these, but these are the splice tubes that you'll put into the splice core. And I think they're about $5 a piece. They said they're even fancier, but these are well worth it because every single splice that the palette does, it's applying a huge amount of heat and compression, and you can configure those settings. It'll be more or less depending on the material type, and they are under a lot of strain and work. So this is a consumable piece, but what's really neat about the Palette 3 is this is the only consumable piece in this box. With the Palette 2, you had multiple pieces. There were the motors that would advance the filament. There was the sensor that would tell them when the filament ran out. And anyway, there were multiple pieces. There were parts that would go with the splice core, and looks like we need a lot less of that. That was one of the things that was very exciting about the Palette 3 to me is I had problems with pretty much every one of the pieces. I'd replaced them all, and I'd had to buy some extra things. And I think I had just some stuff that wasn't ideal with my palette. Oh, hello, hair. So I looked at it and I was like, all of that's gone. All of those points of failure have now been removed. And we've got this solid looking path. Okay, so let's go through the manual. Let me see what we've got here on page 2 so that we can go through this. We have most of this we've talked about. We have the screwdriver. We have 3 sizes of the PTFE tube. That's going to depend on how far away your palette is. And then these little things, they call it the extruder clip. I printed, I'll show you, there's an easy way you can print an option that works really well with it. So spool holder rod. I think this is going to be fairly simple. We will do that in a minute. Well, no, let's go ahead and do it. You know what? I'm going to put this back here for now. Figure that out in a minute. And safety, high temperature. The parts can get very hot. Do not force the filament. If you hear the drive skipping, and 1.75 millimeter filament, only perform maintenance after it's powered off and cooled down. Okay, good advice. Set up and get started. It does want us to build the filament runner. So I was wondering how they were going to do this. So they're having, in this case, you were going to run two rows of 4. Gosh, this is hard to see in this light. Let me put it up here. 2 rows of 4 filaments. Let's see if we can do this. Oh, I see what you're doing. All right. I did not like at all the spool holder with the palette 2 at all. I thought, oh, this thing is very annoying to use. And after a short period of time, it turned into my favorite spool holder. And this looks like a very similar design. So this goes in here. Either way. Let's go here so it can go in here. So the great thing about this is, oh hell, I'm sorry, that has got to be loud, folks. All right. Not going to work. All right, so this is the spool holder for the palette 3. The palette 2 looked like this, and I really didn't like it. But I've got 8 quarter-kilo spools on here. But what's great about it is you just lift this up. And aside from needing to get to the middle one, it's very easy to use. You can get, I think I've gotten 6 regular spools on it. And so I liked it because of the small size of this. Even I've got some spools with really tiny apertures, and you can get anything in there. So the suggestion is that you would put them, you can have 1, 2, and 3 here. Okay, we will use that. We will use this guy. Put it back here. Thank you all for working with me. Oh, there are people saying things. I need to look at what people are saying. Hold on. Sounds gone, sounds gone, sounds gone. Hi, hi. Sounds back? Okay, good. Hey, thank you all for working with me here. This setup is brand new, and I'm learning it, so we'll see if I can get it right. So, where did my manual go? All right, next with the manual, choose the best position for your filament. And this is something that you've got. Let's open it up. So this seems odd to take the top off, but in fact, with the palette, taking it off is not a bad thing. You can run it with the top off. You're going to go through a configuration, and you're going to set up how much heat to add, how much pressure to add as this making the splice, and how much time spending on cooling. They're just 3 numbers, 1, 2, and 3. You're going to set up. If you leave the cover off, it gives it the ability to lose some heat more quickly. So you actually can change the settings for that. So it depends. So now the question they're saying is, do you set it like this to run? Do you put it on the stand to run? And the question is, where are your filaments coming? They're going to come in a path. They're going to come in down here at the bottom. All 8 filaments are going to come in in this little tiny area. I don't know if you can see it there. All 8 filaments are going to come in there. So where are they going to come from? If you stand it like this and they're coming in here, that'll work. But if you have it above and they're coming down and then curving, it's going to put extra strain on the motors as it tries to pull the filament. So that looks like from the manual here that having it lie flat is an option. So I think we're probably going to do that. 50 centimeters, 30 centimeters. Yeah. Okay. To ensure the filament is fed correctly, please create enough room between the filament holder and Palette 3 Pro in your setup. Place all filaments centered to inputs. All right. So that's saying if the filaments are coming in here, you don't want them shifted or half and half. Put them as close to center as possible. So this may be interesting. I may be putting the filament on the floor down there and having it pull up. Because I don't think I can get 30 centimeters here. We can try. Ideally, place filament centered to filament input. Okay. Power on and follow the setup assistant. Sweet. I'm going to bring another camera closer to this so we can see. I have it on the printer, but I think it makes more sense to have it close up of the palette. Okay. How about the palette being upside down? I don't know. Wait, hold on. It won't work upside down because the exit is here. I was thinking about that. Yeah, because it wouldn't matter aside from that your filament is going to come out here. The PTFE tube is going to go from here to your printer. That actually sounded quite good for a minute there. All right. Power it on. I'm going to put it in the stand. That's backwards. There we go. All right, let me bring this other camera over. I think that will be better. I might have to. This might be too bright. Hold on. Oh, so shiny. All right, we're going to have to figure out how to get the light off this. All right, there's a power button on the side. Come on. There we go. Okay, hope you can see the screen. Ah, so much light. Is it this one? Which one is it? Every light is in the way. Oh, I can fix that. Another one. Why is there green still? Okay, that's almost not crazy. Oh, welcome to Palette. I'm still trying to figure out how I can get the light off this. Oops, that's the table. How about that? Welcome to Palette. No, that's too much. Let me drop the ISO down. Is that better? All right, welcome to Palette. Next. Privacy and terms. Uh-oh. Let's accept. Okay, connect to internet. Let's go via Ethernet. Let's go via Wi-Fi. Ooh. You got it? I had to type in my password. Hold on. I typed it in. Reconnected? Hold on. Did it change? My husband likes to make sure they're very secure. He's watching. He's saying, that's go. Okay. Password again? Hold on. Are we connected? Yeah, I think we're. It continues to ask for the password, but I'm giving it the password. It's not telling me that there's an error. Hey, can you come in here, Chris? What got you into 3D printing? Oh, do the palette to have the palette to? Oh, the palette to. Oh, hold on. I'm trying to get my husband in here. Oh, wait, it worked. Firmware update via USB. We have introduced critical updates while the palette was on its way to update. Okay, update via USB. Files not found. Search firmware. All right. So we now have to check for, gosh, sorry, I've got to get the, is that easier to read? Firmware updates. I'm going to put you back on here. So let me see what people have asked in the chat while we go through firmware updating. Sound is back. How about the palette being on? No, Palette 2 did not have Wi-Fi. Didn't have Wi-Fi at all. In fact, so I had, I was shuffling back and forth. I had Octoprint, which I was sending all of the prints. And you get really lazy when you can sit there at the computer and just send everything. But because I had to send stuff to the palette. Now, there was an add-on that you could get that was actually, gosh, what was it called? It was a hub that would, and they sold it for a while, but they were not selling them later on. Critical updates. Let me go find this update. So we need to go to and it will not let us proceed without this mm3d.co. Hold on a second. I got to get a dongle. What got me into 3D printing? Oh yeah, I love Octoprint. Oh my gosh, I had Spaghetti Detective as one on one of my printers that I was using, and I just got it on for all of them. Wow, I love Spaghetti Detective. That's so much fun, especially when it sends you a message. There's something fishy with your print. What got me into 3D printing? That's a very interesting story. I will tell you. 1 second. Let me find this update via USB. All right. Okay, so let's go to mm3d.co/firmware. Palette 3 Pro firmware. Firmware update, firmware download. I liked that I had an ACK problem. Okay. Let's download this one. Okay, P3_21. Okay, so let's look at the firmware update instructions. Oh, it's very easy. I like very easy. Time required 10 minutes. Well, we'll have to talk about how I got into 3D printing at that point. All right, it's telling us we have to go there now. So it looks like it is. I still would like to. I still question. I'm gonna, while this is downloading, I'm gonna turn it off. Probably foolishly. I'm not updating. This is interesting. I don't know how to turn it off. It looks like from these steps here that we should be able to update via the internet. All right, it does not, oh, okay, that worked. It didn't want me to turn it off. I hope I haven't confused anything. All we've done is enter the Wi-Fi, and I still am not 100% sure that worked. Let me see what text message I have here about. Oh. Okay, so it's now booting. I'm going to come back over here to 2. I'm going to have it, oh, that's no, I need to go to 3. I'm going to have it boot again. All right, waiting. Oh, welcome to the palette. Privacy and terms, accept. Checking for updates. Okay, much better. It did not connect successfully to the Wi-Fi last time, so this is much better. I turned it off and restarted it, and it in this case said checking for firmware. It went to the web automatically and found it. So now we're just going to update it, and it said 10 minutes. Oh yeah, we've got a progress bar. Okay, so let me get back over here and see what's happening. I'll come back over here and see what's happening. What got me into 3D printing? It's an interesting story. Hold on. Let's see if that's going to kill this, or if it works better with lighting. I'm going to have to turn that back. So my husband had said a number of years ago, we should get a 3D printer. And I said, yeah, but we don't know how to do CAD design. And what are we going to do? We're going to get a 3D printer. What are we going to print? If a part breaks to something, we don't know how to design it. And by the time we would design it and print it and go through all of that, we could just buy a replacement part on Amazon. And I really wasn't, I mean, if you have a 3D printer, right, you think of things to print that you would never think of. It's amazing the number of little things in our lives. We were like, oh, I can print something for that. And you just don't think along those lines. So I didn't think much about it. And then and the other thing I said was, they're crazy expensive. They're like $5,000. It doesn't make sense for us to look into that. And so I shot him down, and I felt kind of bad. And then later, this was actually, when was it? I'm trying to think. I was doing something with my daughter, and I thought, wow, if I could print something for her, it could help. And so I went back to my husband and I said, I want to look at getting a 3D printer. And he was like, I thought you didn't want one. I'm like, okay, but here's what I did. I found out how many millions of objects are out there. We don't have to know CAD design. We can just go ahead and print stuff. There's so many things, and there's fun stuff and toys, and we can do that. And so he said, okay, it sounds like a good idea. So we got the first printer, which may not be able to see it. It's hidden back over here. It's still here. It's a Cheedy X Plus, and I like it because it's got an enclosure and it prints ABS well. And every now and then I need to print. I'm not a huge fan of ABS, but every now and then you need a part that has ABS. And so, updating your palette. Okay, it is getting close. So yeah, that was why I wanted to get it. But the reason that I wanted to get it and why I wanted to get it for my daughter is that my daughter's blind. And so there are many things in this world that she can't comprehend. We can describe it to her. We told her, hey, COVID, it's like this spiky ball. It's like a ball with all these spikes sticking out. But we saw it everywhere. So I printed the COVID virus for her, and I said, this is what we've been talking about. And she said, oh, and she had that reaction that you have when you have an understanding that words couldn't have explained. And so from that point on, we do a lot of printing for her, and I have printed for her. I've printed for her VI teachers. I'm like, what else do you need printed? Because now I have more than one printer, and then I got a lot of printers. And so, yeah, anyway, but I like 3D printing things more than she wants me to 3D print. You've got a project? Can we 3D print something? Mom, I'm just going to do it with cardboard. So in any case, but that's why I got into, how long ago was that? How long ago was that? It's not been 3 years, less than 3 years. And yeah, so my daughter was sighted, and seemed to be perfectly normal. And we found out later, it's a very long story, but we found out later that she had malformed eyes. And so she failed a vision test, and check, still updating, but it's almost done. And so she failed a vision test, and we went to a pediatric ophthalmologist, and she said, something's going on with her eyes. I can't tell. We're going to take her in the OR because we really need to look into it. And a child at 3 is not going to tolerate looking in the way we need to look. And so she came out and she said, there's some malformations and things and a couple of things. But, and then later that year, shortly before she turned 4, it's a complicated story, but her eyes, I call it blowing out. my husband said, come here, you need to come look at Reese's eyes. They're not round. Her pupils aren't round. And I thought he was being dramatic, and they weren't round. They were, and it turns out she had an infection that she was susceptible to. She doesn't have a particular thing wrong with her eyes. She has a collection of malformations, and they were like the perfect storm that made her eyes very, very challenging to thrive. And this infection that got in there, because she doesn't have good blood flow in the eyes, caused a series of things to happen that ultimately, after like 20 operations, we haven't been able to. She has a tiny bit of form vision, but she's extremely tenacious. All right, applying update. We are applying update. There we go. So, I'm telling you, I love 3D printing. My children are like, and my husband is like, please, I'm trying to go to sleep. Can you just, because he'll watch a movie and I'll be in bed on my iPad watching, well, I don't know, YouTube. I just like live and breathe 3D printing. I love it. I really do. And so he'll come to bed and I'll say, ooh, hey, CNC Kitchen released this video. And would you believe it? And he was like, seriously, I'm going to sleep. And so, yeah. And then he wakes up in the morning. I'm like, okay, so anyway, yeah, I just drive everybody nuts with it. But my mother-in-law one time, she says, it's your passion. And she'll say, it's your passion. And I'm like, I guess it is, but. Okay, wait, are we applying update? We're almost done. We might be about to do something. So yeah, that's why I got into 3D printing. And I really do love it. And I do far more outside the scope of VI. But for instance, one of the easiest things to do is, there's so many dice out there. I've got, all the different sided dice for all the D&D stuff and gaming. And I love dice. I have a dice collection. But dice, most of the time, have an inverted pip. So they go in. For a blind person, you need a pip that pops out. And if you take dice, and she loves to roll the dice, and you roll them, and they go out on the table, we can see them and we can see the outcome. She can't. So she's going to feel around on the table to find them. But when she touches them, by the time she finds it, because she's young, she's going to knock them over and change the outcome. And so it's really hard for her. So one of the things that's very cool are all these dice towers that are out there. And I love those dice towers. I've printed so many, but they're fun for her because she can roll them down the dice tower and then they stop at the bottom and she can reach in and safely feel what she rolled. So not only is that fun for us, that's a really functional print. And there's so many, I'm telling you, all these Kickstarters and all these dice towers I have like this. I just love them all. Okay. All right. So are we done? Are we done? And it's updated. Hooray. All right. Log into Canvas. Yes, I have a Canvas account. Ooh, I have to remember what it is. Please. Oh, I got to log into Canvas. Okay. Oh, this is great. So let's go over to Canvas. So Canvas. Oh, shoot. What is it? Mosaic. Hey, am I still online? Good. Okay, good. Okay, Mosaic. Canvas Mosaic. I have it bookmarked on my other printer. This is not Canvas. This is not Canvas. Oh, I shouldn't read. Yeah. Go to what? Go to Canvas? Canvas 3D.io. Connect. I should have just read. Oh, I know why. Because I had the. Okay, hold on. So I got all set up to do live stream on this Canvas 3D.io. Am I not able to type? I'm going to do it over here. CONNECT. Connect your device. Online devices. Here we go. We need to enter in D4YT. Yes. You found it. All right. Now, I want to make sure that the book is not telling me whatever you do, don't do this step. So it probably isn't saying anything like that. I'm going to come back, plug in power to your printer. An on-screen assistant will walk you through. And it is going to say what we're going to get to is it's going to need to do a calibration print to adjust to your specific printer. And we will walk through that. That is super important. I was like, yeah. I don't need to do that. Because for a long time when I had my palette too, because I thought I knew what I was going. Okay, to start a print, use the start. Nope, we're still in the configuration. So let's go back here and Music Pro. Go to setups. Okay. So I have, it says send print files to palette. After slicing a project, you were able to send the print files directly to the palette 3. Okay. Next. We are here to help. Okay. Set up printer. I am having a very helpful husband say, you should look at the device. All right. So, yes, set up my printer. All right. Now, we also have these other connections, and I'm wondering what it's going to tell us to do. Connect your printer. Please turn on your printer and connect the palette via USB. Huh? Please turn on your printer and connect it to the palette via USB. I guess we're going to have to unplug Octoprint. Yeah. That makes me sad. All right. Okay. So let me go over here to over here on my Mark III, I have my Octoprint right here. Oh, I can't see it here. Well, it's a Raspberry Pi with Octoprint, and to that I have been connecting in. So it looks like, and I'm not sure if we can use it through the Raspberry Pi. I'm going to disconnect the Raspberry Pi. So now I am standalone on the Mark III. Plug this in. I'm so sorry about the super shiny bright lights. I am in a mechanical room. My print room, which I stole from my husband because this was his workroom, and I got all excited about 3D printing, and I stole it. Okay, so now we have, actually let me get a 1. Okay, so now I have the palettes here. I have it plugged in, and I have connected from a USB here to the input on the Mark III. And the Mark III, I think, just rebooted. Let me see. It sounded like it rebooted, which a lot of times it'll do when it gets connected. All right. Choose your printer make. Prusa. I'm going to go here. I'm sorry. I just picked that it was a Prusa. Next. Mark III. It had, oh, you know what? Let's go back. Let's see what it had there. It has Prusa, Creality, and not in this list, which you would self-define at that case. Prusa. Pull this closer. Oh, gosh. Hard to see this. Prusa, next. Mark III, Mark III's, next. And then extruder modification. Is your extruder modified? It is not. I'm going with a stock extruder. No. Okay, attach guide tube clip. All right, let me show you what that is. I'll go back to 2. So the guide tube clip is, and there's a Velcro thing, and there are, the good news, as you know, we're talking about how printers are so flexible. Okay, let me go to, so this is the guide tube. Actually, I'm going to go here because I can get here. This is the guide tube. And I need to work on my lighting. I apologize here. So it has a rubber gasket in here. And what you're going to do is put this in a spot, and the filament is going to come in through here. And it really, the goal of this is to give it a way for the PTFE tube to connect. So let me pull this out of the way. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's see if I move that out of the way, if I can still see. Let's see if this works. Okay, so I'm going to undo these PTFE tubes. And hopefully they're going to ask us which length. So here is the big question. You've sliced up a Clifford, the big red dog, and he's mostly red, but his paws are black and his nose is black, and his eyes are white. So you've got 3 colors. The palettes, as in Canvas, which is the software, which is where you're going to define the red, the white, and the black, the palette is going to say, I know when to send each color, because we're going to do this amount of red and then this amount of black and then this amount of white and loop around. But what it doesn't know is how far away the exit point from the palette 3 is to the point that the filament comes out of your nozzle. And so it needs to know that distance. And this calibration is determining that distance. But it's also letting you have input too, because wow, these are nice. And we got 1. Okay, here we go. This is the short tube. This is the medium tube, and this is the long tube. And I think they're 50 centimeters, 100 centimeters, and 150 if it's like before. And I'm going to go with the middle one just to give us some breathing room. So it says attach guide tube clip. So at this point, what you would do is you would take, there are 2 sides to this. And I don't know why they give you a lot of Velcro. It must wear out. So this has a sticker to it. You would take this and you would stick it on where you're, actually, I'm going to show you this. I have this already on my printer because of the palette too. Let me lift you up and hopefully I won't. All right, if I'm making you sick, sorry. All right, so here's, that's right. There we can see it. Okay, so this is that gasket, and you can see mine's a little worn. And otherwise, this would have just been, gosh, I'm sorry, I can't hold this straight. This would just be straight going in. The reason you need this gasket is because you're going to take this PTFE tube, and when it comes in, you're going to take this, when the filament starts coming out, you're going to push that down, and it's going to stick in. So you need it to stick in and stay. And that's what the whole purpose of this is, so that it'll stay in, and then you can bring it out. Because typically you either may already have a Bowden tube set up, or you have just a direct drive like this. Let me see if I'm like missing questions. You guys are so great to bear with me here. Let me go back here. Okay. Alrighty. So back to the questions. Attach guide tube clip. I'm having to drop it down so we can see. Attach guide tube clip. Okay. Oh, I see. Oh, wow. Okay, this new one's different. We're going to have to attach it because, wow, is that grippy. This is so wild. I just stuck it in. I can't get it out. There must be a trick. Oh, you push down and it lets go. Okay, it's like the standard. Okay, that is very cool. No, we're switching out. How can I do that? All right, I'm going to need a minute with a screwdriver. So I'm going to go back to 2. And I am going to switch this over. So I'm going to take this clip off. All right. There's the runout sensor. Have you never seen the runout sensor, that little red thing? I think it's the runout sensor. Am I right on that? That'll be the runout sensor. All right. So now we're going to put the original clip on. Is that right? Hold on. That has to be, oh no, it has to be here. Sure. Yes. Okay. Yes, that's right. Okay, so now this before was just a basic gasket. I'm really excited about this new one. Yeah, this is just a basic gasket, and mine was getting worn out. So you could print a different variant, and they would give you a bunch of these. This is pretty cool. So this is just a 3D printed part, but we're going to go with the new one now. So this, we're going to pull the sticky off. All right, so do you all have palette? I hear somebody said there's a palette on the way coming tomorrow. Anybody else getting a palette 3, palette 2? Let's stick that down. Delivers today. This, I tell you, this was really hard for me to have this arrive yesterday. And I was going to do this live stream last night, and things just got away from me, and I did not. So, okay. So can you see this here? This is so hard to see. So there's so much black, and if I overdo the light, it's just blowing it out. The reason with this, and I'm not sure why they do this, is you've got the Velcro because you might want to take it on and off. So there's Velcro here. I'm not wanting to work with the palette now, so I want to take it off. I never did that because this was a great way to just put filament in. So I always left it on. I've had it on for over a year and a half, I can't remember. But we're going to put it on and then make sure it is lined up with the holes, or you will be out of luck. Is that right? Right there. I hope we're right. All right, I'm going to get a piece of filament and run it through the path. I am quite inexperienced with this because when I figured I could just attach a part. Yeah. Okay. I'm on the wrong. Shoot, I'm on the wrong. All right. So yeah, to make sure that I've got it aligned, I can take it off if I want. I can put it back on, line it up with the hole, and then did it right the first time. Oh, goodness me. My son was funny last night. He was like, Mom, you can't swear on a live stream. And I said, oh, thank you so much. Who have you been watching that swears? He's 10, acting like he's 17. Okay. All right. So we're set. So that's good. Now let's go back over to the palette here. Attach guide tube clip. This is secured to your extruder using the provided Velcro squares. Press the Velcro together to secure the clip. Okay, next we got that. Recommended placement. Oh goodness. We have to come closer and be closer friends. So this is showing. Oh, that's saying, how do you want to position your palette in relation to the printer? I think I'm going to keep it standing like this. I think I'm going to have it come out here and go over to the extruder clip like that. I think it's a little wobbly. I might rearrange that in a minute when it starts. I need to look at that placement because I think I can do a better job of placement. Okay, because it looks odd. All right, so next thing is yes. Next, outgoing tube. The outgoing tube connects your palette and printer. Come around. And lets the filament run through. We have prepared some outgoing tube in the box for you. Next, I know you all can read, but use a shorter outgoing tube when possible to provide better results. Oh, it's 57, 80, and 110. All right, well then in that case, since we can go shorter, I think I'm going to do the shorter tube. Let's verify. So right now I can tell that I can go easily from out here to in here, but there's more that you need to know. It's not here, it's there. It's all the way to the right. So this is doable, but I need to bring the palette quite close and then make sure we can go all the way here. And that's doable. It won't put strain on it. Okay. I have to see what it says. I'm going to come around. All right, outgoing tube. All right, next. Install outgoing tube. Insert the tube through the output. Remove the cover. Make sure the tube still sits flush to the brass. Oh, do I sound in the wrong spot? Look, oh, my assistant's back. Thank you. Make sure it sits flush. Let me see what it says here. Oh, okay, there's brass here. I'm making sure it sits all the way. Make sure it sits flush. Ah, it was not. Sits flush with the brass. Is it? Oh, these are so nice. You push down on the ring surrounding it. Does it go over or does it sit flush with? Okay, one thing about, I'm going to need to get a palette tube. I've got one right up here. Can you see if there's a palette tube there? Or I can get one. I want to get the palette tube and show the difference because this is something that it should be up there. It's not up there? Yes, it was there all along. Okay, so the difference with the palette tube was one end looked like this. And no, I was good. You're in the sign. You're in the light. Put it down. It's fine. One end looked like this, and that was the end that you put in the palette. Wait, is that right? The other end looked like this. I call this one the male end. Oh. And this one, yeah. And so you had to have them correct. So you had to use these tubes. These actually, the ones that come with it now, are just standard PTFE tubes, I believe. There's nothing particularly fancy about them. You can use any length you want. You can customize to whatever length you want. This is really configuration. Remember, what we're trying to do is say the amount of space between when it creates the splice and when we need to get red to the end of the nozzle. And that's what we're trying to determine. So there's nothing fancy about this. At this point, it comes out, it's just splice filament. It's just regular filament. And the goal that you want is to get the distance right so that you get the colors changing where you want to. But the other thing is we want to get the splices right, because that setting is really important, and you can mess around with that. And you can get floppy splices or good splices. So we've got it in here. I have it in here. I have full range of motion. I'm going to bring it back and come around to see what is this. Insert outgoing tube. Remove the cover. Make sure it sits all the way flush to the brass tubing. All right, length of outgoing tube used. We used the short one, the 57 centimeters. It is not custom. Okay, test print.
Will it have enough?
What? It takes about an hour?
Will it have enough distance to be fully down in the way?
Yeah, it'll be, yeah, because it'll probably. I'll move it a little closer. That's a good point. Will it be close enough? It says it takes an hour. We might start this and take it, but what it hasn't told us is what it's doing. So let me see if I can find out here. Start your first print. Use the start print button and the home screen and choose a sliced project on canvas, local storage, or USB drive. Now that's interesting because it says it's going to do a print for us and is not giving us a choice. I see what the print is. This is the one I'm not surprised. Let's see. Let me see this. Oh, flip me to 3. Thank you, assistant. See the little picture here? So this is the canvas. It's a keychain. It takes about an hour, and you can use any 2 colors. That's not 8 colors. Okay, well, we can see it work. Well, we're going to pick something exciting then, red and blue. I'm disappointed about that. I wanted to do something. Are you echoing me? Because you're voluming? Okay. I tell you what, can you go get me? Wait a minute, I've got to. Until we use all 8, I'm going to use these. Okay, until we get to a point where we're using more spools, I think I'm just going to use these tiny little things. And I think we're just going to come straight in like they're suggesting, and we'll get the camera on here. I would like to do something more interesting, but this is an important step. I understand. Maybe we can play some music. Can talk about, I don't know, what are we going to talk about? The enraged carrot? Oh, we should talk about filament. Yeah. Oh, let's talk about filament. I could talk about filament for an hour easily. All right. So, test print. Wait a minute. We can see. No, we need to do this. I would like to skip it, except for it is going to calibrate it. Start. All right. It's looking for filament 1. Ooh, we need to get a camera on this. Here, can you come bring the camera on this? So, yeah, bring that one in here. Can you bring it around? Will it go through? Is it having a? No. Oh, what happened? Okay, hold on. No, camera's not working. Okay, hold on. I'm not making it wait for me. Did it get unplugged? Sometimes it gets unplugged. There it is. Okay, so we need to back up here and show you what it's doing. So this roller is running, and it's got a light on the number 1 because it wants filament in number 1, and it's actually quite friendly, and then it will wait a long time for you. This looks really aggressive. So I might lie this flat, but let me get it in 1. Okay, there it is. So it's going to wait until it grabs it. There it goes. Now, what it's doing is it's coming up here, it's touching it, and then it's going to push it back. And now it has lit up the second row, second input. And it will gladly sit around and wait for you. I have accidentally left it for too long. Okay, now, all right, now, and I gotta get these, I've got to get these over there. Here. Huh? Can we see it? Aside from this light, too, it's terrible. Can you rotate that light away? It's not that light. Which one is it? Is it this one? It's that one. Okay, I'll turn it. Here we go. All right. This one's on it. And that's this one. There we go. Okay. This is so much faster. Okay, so one thing to note is that channels 1 and 2, filament paths 1 and 2, actually come together. So it goes from 8 to 4, and then it comes into a single path up here. This is the splice core. And this is, if something breaks, this is the most expensive piece of the component. So it's going to bring, okay, what it has to do is it has to back out the filament it's currently working with. It's going to do a bunch of blue. Now, can you see this up here? Can you see this up here? Oh, stuff's coming through. And wow, this is great. This did not happen with the printer. Before you had to start, we've got to get this to look, okay. So it's heated up the printer. It's completely starting the print. The palette is running the entire print job. So this is entirely, oops, is that coming off? Oh, I need a better connection for that. I noticed it wasn't good. I'll have to fix it in a minute. Because I don't want to hold this for an hour. Okay, so things to talk about with this is that before you would paint or get a file built up, and you would have 2 files. One would be a G-code file that you would run from, it's already got pressure on it. I don't know. I think I stuck my sticker in the wrong spot, but I need to make sure that's down. As long as it's held in, we're okay. This won't come out because this is but is this holding on well? I need more Velcro. I had this issue last time where those Velcro things, it just did not seem to fit well, which is why I did a standard one. Wait, what did it say? Did it say something? Your printer is preheating. The printer is preheated. What are you saying temperature-wise?
It's fully preheated.
It's fully preheated. Hopefully it will start. There is? Press OK. Thank you. All right, your printer is preheating. Okay. And I'm going to watch this up here. All right, so what's happened is, and we need some light, but I'm just having trouble showing things with it not. I've got to figure out a different way to do with light. Okay, so let me explain what happened. In this case, we have only 2 filaments. It knows that it has a plan for it has a plan for the whole print, but it also knows that it's going to take a little bit to get started. So it looks like it gave us a blue splice first, and then a red splice, and then it did another blue splice that's pretty long. So it knows that we've said we have the 57 centimeter tube. It also knows how much is sitting here in its path. And I didn't get a chance to catch this because everything was happening fast, but this is a buffer here. So this is going to play in and out. because you're, hello, what was that? So it's going to play the filament in and out. But what it's saying right now is feed the filament until your printer's extruder gear just grips the filament. So here's where we are right now. This is, let me give it to, it has gotten that much out. It's pretty accurate. It knows that we've got, oh, and look what I'm doing. Thank you. What would I do without you? It is about, what, a centimeter past this. So it knows how much it's made, and it wants to feed it into. See, I need something back here. See what I'm talking about? It's not, I don't have enough grippy here. I did not like this one like this before. I'm sorry, I'm talking about. Let me see if I can put it in a different orientation. 1 second. I can put it. Okay, so I'm going to put this back on. So you want it to grip, but I've never been able to just stick this down here and feed it, but we're going to try. Is it on? All right. Feed the filament until your printer's extruder gear just grips it. Hold on for a second. I'm going to grab and pull a little bit. I always found that this works better, so I'm going to pull about 2 inches, 5 centimeters. I'm going to stick it down until it grabs it. It's grabbing it, but it's not. There we go. Okay. And as it grabs it, you want to push this back in. Okay. I don't know that I did a great job of explaining that. So I'm not sure how the palette expects the printer to get filament. I've always pulled some out, let it grab it, and then once it's grabbed it, you take the PTFE tube and stick it back down in. So you're locked in here and you're locked in here. Now, the printer is probably saying, is the color correct? And it's saying filament extruding with the correct color. The palette, which is a little loud, is saying, wait until it just grips the filament. All right. The printer says, do we have the correct color? I am going to say yes at this point, even though it's not fully through the extruder path, because the palette is saying until it just grips it. And then I'm going to say next. 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 What is it saying? Clip the guide tube into the extruder. All right, so that's what we did. We fed it until it's grabbed it. It doesn't have enough grip here unless I'm 100% missing something. If somebody knows if I'm like putting this thing on backwards, no matter where I put the Velcro, it doesn't quite work with this top. All right, clip the guide tube. We've clipped the guide tube. Press, please load filament into the extruder. All right, so this is what we had to do with the prior, with palette 2. Gosh, I hope you guys can hear me over this. I'm going to go to 3. We had to load, in this case, 63.1 millimeters or centimeters of filament. And so you would go into, you would advance the extruder until, advance the filament until you got there. But it didn't matter what you did. It was always be a little bit too much or a little bit too less. It looks like because the palette can now control the printer, that we can go with smart loading because it can advance it. So I'm going to do smart load. Okay, wait. Oh, there we go. There we go. It's loading. It's loading. It's loading. It's a 2. It's loading it. Gosh, I'm having a hard time with the lighting. Palette ran into a problem. Filament movement not detected. Filament was not detected while smart loading. Ensure your printer is preheated. The filament is loaded into your, okay. Oh no, it didn't load it all the way. Okay, I pulled more out, and did you hear the palette make a noise? Okay, here we go. This time I got it. Okay. Smart load. Oh wait, it's going. It's going. See this overloaded by 30.27? This is typically what happens. Now it will tend to correct itself. I thought I had it loaded, but I had not. So let's just do smart load. It's going to say we're already done. These, by the way, I don't know how well you can see the screen, but I know there's a button there. Okay, ready to print. Start printing. All right, so now we're making the Mosaic keychain. We have 45 minutes. All right, well, let's see if we can get over here and put this. I'm going to see if I can get one camera on the palette and one camera on the printer. So give me a second. You're going to make you all sick. So, all right, let me adjust this tripod. And what we want to see is not the message. What we want to see is the palette itself working. You all are so kind to bear with me while I get all these different angles. I feel like I need close-ups of so much stuff. And everything, of course, is reflective. All right. All right. Lift the palette. I'm still here. I'm taking a very tall camera down to a much shorter camera. Okay. So I'm going to try to get one camera on the palette and we'll go back and forth. And then we'll go over and look at the, God, this is just, I can't get the lighting right because We can see this, but then we can't see this. My husband is here. He is doing some work. Okay. All right. I'm going to see if I can go back and forth. I can't really get both of them in the same shot. You want to put this one over there and this one here? Because I can put this one back here. Okay. All right, camera. Way around the cameras. All right. So there's the print. All right, better. So we had talked about the number of splices. Does it say how many splices? Well, it's finishing 24%. It does not say. No, I need to go back. Okay, there we go. All right, so if we go back over to the print, what it's doing, I sure hope you can hear me over the it's doing a lot of cooling. What it's doing over on the printer is it is building a purge tower, and even though it's sending the green, the blue, and then it's cutting it immediately to the red, there is a point where those colors are mixed inside the. Can you turn your balloon? There is a point where it's mixing around in the extruder, and ooh, can you fix me color-wise here? I'm looking. Can you make me lighter? I'm telling you, this is like the most challenging lighting situation because let's see what people are saying. Yeah, the purge tower. Try focus point on the camera. Try changing exposure. Okay. Okay, so yeah, the purge tower. There are, first of all, it is a waste of filament, definitely, but you get the multicolor. So what is being done to improve that? In order to say we have red and white, and I've got the whites of the dog's eyes, Clifford the dog, it is going to make sure that it's absolutely gone from red to white. And to do that, it's going to just purge out some filament to make sure that that happens. You can tweak that and make settings changes to that too, so that you can have longer settings changes. There's so many things that you can set. I've got this as a TPU, and this one's a PLA, and this one's a PETG, and this is a silk, and you can make all sorts of different setting changes. And one of them is I'm going from a dark color to a dark color, and so I can have a shorter purge time. Or it's a white. I need a really long purge time. So that can be set on a per filament base, and also on a from A to B. I'm going from this filament to this filament. That's how you could do it in the palette 2. I'm assuming you do it in palette 3. Let's go back over to here and see how it's going. So we're now hitting the next color. And if you can see when it moves out of the way, if you look at the purge tower, you'll see how it was red and then it shifted into blue before it moved. But what are ways that you can improve on the amount of wasted filament? The first thing is that purge to infill. A lot of models have a lot of infill, and there's you've got a frog and you want the frog's toes and eyes to be different color. But other than that, it's primarily green. You can purge into infill. And that is great because you're not using the purge tower. You do have some challenges though. Let's go back over here. Look at that. Okay, so now it looks. Okay, let's see what's happening here because we want to see it. It looks like it's sending a lot of blue. So this isn't that exciting. What I want to do is I want to catch it. I interrupted myself. I want to catch it over here. The red is just sitting there empty. But we do see this is the buffer. So I'll come back to the purge tower and the printer is using filament because it's extruding, but the palette only makes a splice every so often. So what's the balance between the printer is using a millimeter, a millimeter, a millimeter, a millimeter, and the palette is not yet ready to make that splice. So at the point of the splice core here, it is staying fixed. Nothing's happening. But it has made this filament and it stuck it in this buffer. So it will start to play out inside this buffer. On the palette too, this was much smaller. It was a little bit of a circle. And things could happen like it would break inside the buffer or you would overrun your buffer. In this case, you've got a much bigger buffer. So when it's gotten enough of the buffer done and it thinks it's time to go ahead, it will make the next splice. The last splice, at this point, it's not only done the splice to blue, it's just pulling blue from the spool because it's apparently doing a lot of blue. We're right in the middle and we're doing a lot of blue. So it's just passing it through. I did a model one time and I didn't really want to do this, but I had to do something low down and high up and I couldn't do it with a filament color change. So it passed through one color for a long while and it does fine. The speed that this can run at is, I think, 100 millimeters per second. Yeah, no, not per second. Yeah, that would be on the slicer. If you put your speed at 100, I think that is the max. I have to go back now. I'm thinking 100 millimeters per second. We don't do 100 millimeters per second. I need to look. Yeah, there's a certain maximum amount of flow that it can do. So if you want to get a Voron 2.4, 0.1, and you want to run a speed benchy with colors, it won't work. You will run this buffer out very quickly and you'll be done. And it'll just, okay, wait, here we go. Let me go back to it. Yeah. It's sending the blue back. It's going to pull the red in a minute. It's interesting. It's just thinking about it. I guess it has a bunch of buffer, but it's preparing to do the red. Now this bit down here at the bottom where it has this roller, this is such a huge improvement over the palette too. Since this is printing, I don't want to pull it right in the middle, but the palette too. I'll wait as soon as I hit. Oh wait. Here we go. It pulls the red in. There's a red light on the splicer. And splice core, you can even, it's hard to see here, but inside the splice core, you can almost see in the middle, you can see that splice tube where it goes through. What are the settings on this? There is heat, pressure, and cooling time. How much heat does it apply? How much pressure? So there is a wiring where it squeezes that. Say again? You can? Oh, you want to zoom in? I just really like when you're here. You're so helpful. So it's finished it. Outgoing dry. Hey, while you're here assisting, can you bring this over? Well, let me tell you something. I love cameramen that aren't busy picking up my children, which is great. You want to take it over? Okay. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to turn it this way. So the palette 2 in comparison to the palette 3. Let me get this side by side. Oh wait, I know what to do. Green giant. By the way, these filaments are by a company, GNVTNTP, a Chinese company, and the gentleman was really nice. He sent them to me and said, "Hey, we have 2 factories," and he sent me a list of all the filaments they made. They've been around for 8 years making filament exclusively. It prints beautifully. It's a little bit more expensive, I think. You get 4 of them. I had them out just because I wanted to use them. I like the size spool was great, but you get a kilo of filament, and for that it's more expensive than other kilos that you can get. But it's great filament. He's got a metallic, silk colors, and then he's got a matte that, and they print really nicely. So, and I think they're great for today. Okay, so now let's look at the palette 3 versus the palette 2. The palette 2, you had 4 input paths. One. Can you get it here? 1, 2, 3. Oh, here he comes. Okay, so wow, we're gonna make people sick. I'm sorry. It's 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th one. You can see these little tubes here where they come in, and so they have a motor to bring in every one. There is a run-out sensor that is in here, and each of these was a unit that wasn't that expensive, but they could fail. And anytime it was passing filament through, this little motor had to run the whole time. So that was something very easy to replace. You would take this plastic off. It's just a few little screws. They're magnetic. They stick them in the corners. You pop it out. You pop the other one in. They're not expensive, but it's a failure of a print that might have been working for 20 hours. And the frustration in time when something fails sometimes is not about the money. So those would fail. We've got more. Here's the buffer over here. I'm not doing it. So as the filament was produced in the splice core, it would come out and go around, and it would come out here. So we had a much smaller buffer. So similar, but there are a lot more parts. If we go over and look at the palette 3, down at the bottom here, it just has. Okay. It just has these little spots that it enters in, and it has 1 roller, and it's great, and it's so flexible. It will sit there and wait and wait and wait. I don't know if it waits. I don't know how long it waits. It might wait a really long time in case it doesn't want you to lose your print. And then it has the this is the cutter part. This is interesting. This is the part that's cutting the filament. If you look at that part, there is a replaceable part inside here. It looks like a standard razor blade. It's not like one of those old-timey, what do you call them, straight razor blades? The kind that you would put in a straight razor. You know what I'm talking about? My husband doesn't know what I'm talking about. Oh, you know. You do. So, yeah, it's a little blade, and they're very easy to replace. Here, it looks like a standard razor blade, but it is, I don't know, hardened steel, something very special. And so, again, not an expensive part. It will need to be replaced over time. It's just like some of the other consumables, like beds, print beds. Look at that. Okay, let me look at chat. You are so understanding. Oh, like, you guys, yeah, it's like fiber fusing? Okay. Oh, you know what? I have the MMU. When I bought my first Mark III, I was like, I got to have the MMU. And I really wanted to put it on. And I ran into a space problem. I have a rack over here that I have my printers in. And I couldn't figure out how to get it in. And so it's always been, oh, look, my cameraman's at it again. This is great. You are so hired. There we go. Now that we've got it running, this is not overly exciting. Things that I am so excited about. The palette just did everything for us. There was so much. In order to get here, if I had been setting up the palette too, holy smokes, you have to go into Canvas. Now, we are doing a pre-sliced and prepared file, the thing, but even so, you would need to go into Canvas and we would build, let me go back. We would have to take that, they would say, here are the files for the Canvas, for our little keychain, and you would stick them into Canvas. Wait, what? Oh, bye. I'll see you in the channel. Thanks for stopping in. So you would take and build in Canvas, and it was part of a tutorial on Canvas, which is where if you have a model, and you don't necessarily need to be an MMU type model where you have the 3 pieces, you have 3 STLs that are already split out into colors. You can take anything into Canvas and you can paint on it like a paintbrush. And you can take a single color model and turn it into any color that you want, paint stripes, what have you. And then they have you do this very easily, and you're doing paint bucket for the, shoot, this is, there we go. Say again? Yes. Show the canvas. Yeah, let's go to Canvas. Here, give me a second and I'll do this. That's a great, look, you're so useful. What? You are just, I mean, I'll hire you. You want a job? No? Oh. Okay. So yeah, you would go into Canvas and you would prepare the file, and then it would say, okay, now you're going to have a .maf, I think it's .maf file, and you're going to have a .stl file. Here's what you do. You go and you take the STL file, well, sorry, G-code file. Sorry. You go and take the G-code file and you put it on the SD card, or you prepare to send it to your printer. And then you're going to go take the MAF file and you're going to put it, you had a little SD card here on the palette too, right here, right? So you take the one for, in this case, the Mark III or the Ender or whatever, and you put them in. And then what we just did is what you would do. You would go into the palette and you would say, I would like to start a print, and I want to start the Mosaic keychain. And you would go through that. It would do some preparatory filament making. It would come out and it would say, now it's just sticking out the end of the PTFE tube. Stick it on there until it connects, and then go ahead and it'll tell you like something like another 37 millimeters until you stop. And then invariably it'll go, whoa, over. I don't know. I over extrude. And then it would continue to print. Now, something that is very interesting with the palette too, that I just found fascinating, because I said to myself, how are they communicating? There is no electronic communication. I loaded a file on the palette too, and I started printing it here, and its job is to create the splices, send the filament. And I loaded a G-code file in on the Mark III, and I said, go and print. The Mark III had no clue that the palette existed, and the palette had no clue where it was going. I think not as much. But they did communicate, and they communicated through some really interesting ways. It had these pings. It does pings, and it's almost like SOS, Morse code, smoke signals, where it would pause for a period. And those periods were at specific times. And it told the palette, aha, I know where you are now. You're the next communication point. Or if that wasn't working well, you would have it do a jog, and it would get to the point and it would go, the extruder head would go back and forth, and it was enough information just from how the filament was being pulled or not pulled for the palette to know, I know where you are now. I know. And so it didn't matter how fast. You could speed it up. You could say print at 120% or whatnot, and that wouldn't affect it. So this is fantastic. We didn't do any of that. We loaded it up. We said, start a print here. We're Wi-Fi connected, which is wonderful. It preheated the printer. It knew it was, it didn't actually tell us we needed PLA, but I guess it assumed it might have been somewhere. And it said, I've got enough filament. The one thing I need you to do that I can't do is I need you to put the filament into the printer and connect the PTFE tube. And when that's done, tell me and we'll go. That's it. I'm going to make up a number, but like 27 less steps. And it's actually the palette is controlling what happens to kick off the print job. I don't actually know what's in that G code, but I'm assuming it has the ability to put more information in. I don't know. This is where we got to learn. I'm so excited. Wait, what? Huh? Comments? Oh, hi. You can make color filament. Yes. Yes, you can. Yeah. So I haven't gotten into the options. Can you go look at the, boo, I know where it is and you don't. Never mind. Look on the rolls. Huh? Oh, I'm just waving at you. Can you go look where the sample spools are, and there's one that has spliced filament? You'll recognize it. It's some colors. So yes, you can, instead of doing a print like this, one of the other things, there's some other options, and I'm interested to see the options. One option is I want to print with a pattern. So I want to do 30 millimeter. Let's pretend like we only have red and blue. 30 millimeters of red, 100 millimeters of blue, 30, 100, 30, 100. And I just want you to make 70 meters or 25 meters of that. The palette is not in connected mode. It doesn't need a printer there. It's just going to start making filament. And that's fun too, because then you can send it, you can give it to a friend, or you can make a vase or anything that you want to have those colors. The minimum length with the palette 2, I believe, was 10 millimeters. I might be wrong on that, but I think 10 millimeters was the least, because it has to have enough space to go through to back it out and pull the new one in. So 10 millimeters was the minimum. And then the other thing, let's see, you can do 30, 10, 7, 8, 12, not 7, but you can do it. Now we've got 8 colors, so you can make any patterns that you want. The other thing is you can say, just do random. I want you to do random with all 8 colors, or random with colors 2, 3, and 6. And it'll say for how long, and you can give it a certain meters or something crazy and then it'll stop, or something crazy if you want to go on longer than that. 100 millimeters, 10 centimeters. Okay, good. Okay, so that's what I was thinking. I was thinking in my mind, and I remembered, yeah, there has to be a certain length. Okay, that's fun. The one request that I had put into Mosaic early on when I got the palette 2 was, I said, can we not have, so back to the Purge tower. If you are making filament to spool up, that's one thing. If I'm sending filament to the printer that I'm splicing in a pattern or in a randomness, there's no Purge tower, because we don't care. We're going to take right? Yeah, we're just going to take the filament as it comes. And so it's kind of neat. If you can do gradations. There's a gradation path. You can say, I want you to start small and they get bigger gradations. That was beautiful in vases. But the one thing you couldn't do that I wanted no Purge tower. Did you find it? I have too many comments. Okay, that's all right. The one thing you could not do was no Purge tower. And what I explained was, some models, and I'm thinking base mode primarily is when I first started this, is I don't mind that, let's look at where this guy is. I don't mind that it's going to be blurry when it merges through the colors. I want that. I think that's going to look neat. Is there a way to just say no Purge tower? But if you are doing a model where there's distinct colors, it will do a Purge tower. But, okay, speaking of, handy cameraman, I want you to show this. This Purge tower right now is a really good example of being economical. It does not need the blue, but it has to build. See how that's really open and airy? There's barely any there. It's going to need to purge from blue to red as it gets to the top, but it is putting the minimum amount that it can bear. And so if you look at some Purge towers, I should go get some old ones. They will go very dense in some areas because there's a lot of color changes, to very airy. This is the most, this is the most airy I've seen it. Where are we on? It's about this place. So this is the That's the most airy. That's very exciting. I have not gone up. We do need to go to Canvas, and we might do part 2 of this tomorrow, if you all are up for another part. But what I want to do now is, this is great. We've got a first print done. Come back and, did it finish? Did it finish? Hello, sweetheart. Do you want to come say hi?
Mhm.
There's some people that I'm doing a live stream. Do you want to come around? You can. Oh, you have your phone.
What?
You can ask people about you.
I did.
You did? Okay. I have to go to one.
My
Okay.
other printer's over here.
No, because you are actually not tall enough. This is my daughter, Reese.
Who is it?
We've got several people online. Oh, don't look at her. Hurry up.
Am I tall enough now?
You're tall enough, so the camera is right there, and you can wave. And what have you been doing?
Stuff.
Now I see what's in your hand. She has a fundraiser for her school, and she wants to get the top prize, and so she's calling relatives and saying, would you donate to the fun run? Thank you, hon. Who'd you call today? Bob, Uncle Bob, and Uncle Brian. Okay, cool. Bye-bye. Chris, what happened? What was going on? It's placed in blue, and I missed it. My daughter came in, so that's Reese, my daughter. And it's doing the purge. Where are we? And we are getting close to done. Okay. That's my daughter. Oh, I'm Courtney. Did I even say that? What are you looking for, Chris? Oh, he's... Okay. There is a very sad thing that happens, and the sad thing that happens is it's stopping making splices. This is a fail. We'll talk about failures that happen with the palette. And maybe this will be a good thing. We'll come back and do another live stream and talk about, because, okay, we know it works. I'm really excited. This is super easy. If you bought this and you didn't, and you had the palette too, I think just from this alone, I'm excited. I want to get into Canvas. I want to see, what number do I go to? Me? Number 1? Okay. I want to go into Canvas and see what the options are. And I would love it if there was a just, hey, just blend them, just no purge tower, but we'll see. But what you have your own filaments, and you might be using TPU, and it'll work. You can have dissolvable supports. You could have TPU and put it on top of what was it? Stefan, CNC Kitchen did that. He had a hook he was making, and he wanted to print TPU in it. Or what do you use? Oh, he used the Vario Shore foaming filament, foaming TPU. So what settings do you need for these? I'm very impressed. It didn't ask us any questions about what filament we had. It probably took it did take the default splice settings. I struggle with the splice settings. Michael of Teaching Tech did an early on review of the palette too, and it was not a good review. And he came back later and he said, I'm doing another review because I did not go through the tuning for my filaments. And so what was happening is the splices were breaking and they weren't good. I was hoping you could find me that I'll go get it. Huh? I'm going to go look in a second. But the splices need to be solid. And if it's falling apart, breaking, or it's just not holding together well, then the sad part that I was saying is if you have a run out sensor, then that will trigger because you won't have any filament coming. And the reason you don't have any filament coming is because somewhere along here, the splice wasn't good, it snapped, and the palette's not making any more filament because the printer's not pulled. It's not asked for more. So why make any more? We're waiting for the printer. Maybe you put it on pause. Sometimes you can resume that by taking the PTFE tube out, pulling it, and then sticking it back in and seeing if you can get the printer go. You'll lose a little bit from what you have to purge out. But I've done that before, and because I'd rather save the print and have it slightly off. So that's doable, but this is great. It's coming in here. It didn't ask us anything about our filament, and it's working well. I mean, I like this GNV TNTP. Is that right? GNV TNTP? I had to practice it. I had to say it for the video. This is GNV TNTP. You should hear my husband laugh at me when I try to do these videos. If you've watched any of the Filament Stories videos, there is a lot of humor because I can't say things. My husband Chris laughs at me. Okay, so I'm going to go find some splice filament. It's purging red. Oh, it's purging red. Okay, he was right. It's not there. I have a lot of the Filablend filament, and I think I gave it to someone. But I can now make some more. I'm excited. Okay, so where are we on our... We're almost done. Okay, so I'm going to come back over here and see... Okay, how are you doing, Toy Maker? Okay, so we're close to being done with this. I think I want to pull this out. What I want to do is I want to actually let's go to Canvas for a second. One second. Oh, that's what it was called, the Canvas Hub. That was the old thing, but I want to go to... Oh, I'm going to put you back. Is it getting ready to pull? I'm sorry, I'm making you... Okay. Oh, because I'm over here. Oh, it's live. Okay. I'm going to go back over here to Canvas. Where we were a little bit earlier was I went to Canvas and it said you need to update as well as the, because I had to reboot it to get the, whoa, what's going on? You're backing all the way out. Oh, it's suddenly quiet. It's suddenly quiet. It's a little loud. It's a lot of fanning going on. It's suddenly quiet. Okay. Wow. So all it has to do now is finish what's in the buffer. And it backed the filament all the way out to, should be close to done. So it backed the filament all the way out to, long way, the very tips here. And it will stay like that. Oh, I'm so excited. What I want to do when we're done, let's go to 3. What I want to do when we're done is I want to see how thick this Purge tower is, because it looks like they have optimized it. Oh man, it's just had a blob. Something happened. Whoa, what happened? It happened like a blob. That is not an attractive. Did a piece of my extruder come off? It must have had some. You'll see in a minute. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm going to find a. All right. It looks like it's almost done. Are we? No, it still has some filament in there. Are you getting in with another camera? Oh, you're just zooming in. Yeah, I almost want to be higher up on that. There's the end. Oh, we're at the end. I think the end's coming out. Are we at the end here? Is that right? Yeah, I think that's the end. So how many hours is it? I don't even know. I just thought. While it's doing that, let me go to here. And what I would like to do is go into, this is my old palette folder, into Canvas and say, let's create a new project. And this is what the Canvas workplace looks like. And then you can add objects. And so you can add any model files here. Let me see if I can. Yeah, you can you paint? You know what? I have not done. Does anyone know who has spent time with the MMU functionality in Prusa Slicer if there's painting and you can paint on supports? I have only worked with Canvas. Oh yeah, back to the MMU. So because of space, I've never installed it. I really want to install it. I hear it's great. No, okay, wait, I know what I'm going to do. Not here. Desktop application. Desktop. 3D printing. And let's put a clock spring. Clock spring my mini factory. Ooh, 2-part. It's a toilet paddle. Oh, darn it. Maybe we can find out. Okay, 2-part toilet paddle. Let's go back to Canvas and let's add this piece here. It's going to be a single material model. And I think this has, yeah. Okay, so this is a model. It's a 2-piece model, but not a multicolor model. And the point of this was for someone who had, Clock Spring is in Australia, and they have the buttons that you push, one for less water and two for more water. And so you have to get in there with your fingers. And if someone has a hard time with like arthritis or something and they can't get in there with their fingers, this was to be a little paddle so you can take and just push it with your arm. And actually, maybe it's great for these days sanitary. So what if you wanted to take and color this? Could you do this in Canvas? And you can do interesting things like you can, let me click it, and toolbox. Add models. Oh, maybe I did this. Ah, so this is two colors. And now we're getting sliced, but I want to paint. Add models. All right, and I'm only showing one color here. Though you are listening to me talk. I am so sorry. I thought I was showing the computer. All right, so we're almost, yeah, oh, look, it's almost done. So it's coming out. So that's all that's left. Let's see how accurate it is. So this is a good question. There is an area where it had a blob, and it's kind of a nasty blob. Did it recover? Oh, it smushed it down. It's not bad. Yeah, this is looking good. So I want to pull it off and look at it. So what I want to do in Canvas is, I think it's a bigger topic than today because Canvas has existed for a while. I want to see the difference with I want to see how Canvas is different. And I was not able, without having the Palette 3, I tried to go in yesterday and the day before and say, hey, I'd like to work on some things. I have a Palette 3. And it wouldn't let me do it. I had the Palette 2. I was able to go in and do all the same functionality that I could before. But I wanted to see what was new with the Palette 3. And until we had said to Canvas, I have a Palette 3, and it gave us the, 4 alphanumeric code, I couldn't get into Canvas. So I'm going to go tonight and look at what functionality is different. We now have 8 filaments. How can we do that? And then see if we can come back. I'll see if I can do this tomorrow. I'll see. I don't know. Tomorrow's Friday. I'm on East Coast time, and I don't know if I have anything. If you all have been here today and you are interested in coming back and seeing some Canvas stuff, I know some of you might already have seen Canvas. Is there a time that's better? I think you sent it to me. Oh, I'll tell her you said hi, toy maker. Yeah, is this same time about right? I know it was a little early in the day. I wasn't able to do it later. So typically, is there, I mean, it's Friday night. You all might be going out. Do we still, I don't go out. I was never a big going out person. This is my mechanical room. And it's my favorite room in the house because it has my printers. Or my other children, as they're sometimes called. Yeah, it's between here and the computer, so I get back and forth. So I don't know. What time is good? I'll see. I may do this around the same time, maybe a little bit later. Oh, shoot, I have a child out of school tomorrow. Ooh. Well, I'll let him have a device. Okay. So when this is done, what I want to do to ask any questions if you have them. And the thing I want to do at the end is see how accurate this print was. This was such a different experience. It's almost like, you know, you get the, my current like laser printer or inkjet printer is not working anymore. I have to get a new one. And so you get it and you plug it in and then you install the driver, and it's pretty easy because it detects the driver, and then you start sending stuff to it and it just works. I've tried to explain to people who don't do 3D printing. I'm like, it's not there are more variables, and you have more choices, and you have a whole additional dimension. And not only do you have color, you've got texture and all sorts of fun stuff. But with that comes challenges and failures, and that's okay, and that's part of it. But it's the fun that you have from the successes most of the time more than makes up for the failures. Anyway, so this is such, I feel like this is, I got a new laser printer and I plugged it in and it said, what's the driver? Okay, send something to the printer. Now, granted, this is the test file from Mosaic, and this is a good test file, but it's only 2 colors, and they painted it for us, and they have defined the splice settings. So what I think we want to do is come back in. Boy, it's getting excited. Let's go over here. Oh, sorry. What we want to do is, we have about 40 centimeters of filament to go, and it's actually adding the nice little. Can I get in here? See, my husband's not here. I was like, honey, you don't understand. We need to be really close. And he would say, yeah, but if you're back, no. We need to be really close. So, but okay. So back on I am really excited about this. I am very impressed. So much of the calibration that you had to do manually, it took care of. And the fact that it's able to communicate and run your printer for you. Okay, we've got Octoprint out of the picture, but that's okay in a way, because if the palette is going to control the printer during the time I'm using it to do my palette prints, I don't need to have it running with Octoprint. Maybe, I don't know. I do like watching what's happening, but maybe just a webcam. What do y'all think? All right. I hope there's new stuff we can do. I'm excited about, Canvas. Ah, no, not that one. I'm sorry. That was the window that has YouTube up, and we got into a infinite loop. Well, no, nesting. What are we? Recursion. A lot of recursion. Okay, so the thing that I did this keychain a number of times that's not the thing. I did the keychain a number of times, and I did it a number of times because this distance I was trying to get right. I would say, but it's not right. It would do the print correctly, but it would be off by something like 8 or 10 centimeters. So I would go through the calibration again. And it was up to me. The palette was saying, we're sending it, hook it in as soon as it gets there. As soon as it gets there, we're going to tell you how many millimeters to move forward and stop at that point. And then you now have an updated amount. So it was just tricky. And I seemed to take several tries before I got that right. And then I would do this keychain, and it was good, and it's quite accurate. But when this is done, if it's what I think it is, you will not be able to tell. It's perfectly crisp cut. However, this particular model, look at this. Yeah, I want to see, because I need to see what the other side looks like. At this point, I'm trying to see what makes this, why I couldn't do this with 2 color changes, because I see blue, and then I see red, and then I see blue. And I need to flip it over. Oh, it's done. Need my spatula. Yeah, what makes this a multicolor model? Okay. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna set it right there. Oh shit! Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't say that. My son told me not to swear. That was an accident. Lord, I'm a mess. Okay, now the reason I did that was because it cools, and then it's easier to pop off. So, gracious me! I thought I killed the camera. Let's come back. Okay, so this is why we needed the palette, because here I've got a lot of blue, red, and then blue. Nothing special there, but that is actually quite nice. I like the filament. First time I've used this one. Okay, so that's how heavy that is. Let me lift this up. And I think this is, I want to also go in because I didn't see anything. I'd like to see the statistics. You have some control over the purge tower, not how much it purges, but you can have it, the position it's in. You can't just say, I don't want a purge tower. What you can do is you can say the red and the blue are fairly close. Don't take that long. But here's what's interesting. Let's see, I want to see. Yeah, this is pretty thin. It's still filament, right? But that's pretty light and pretty heavy. So I want to do another live stream. What I want to do is I want to see information on this. I want to slice our own model, right? I want to pick a model. Slice it. I want to look at 8 filaments. I want to talk about the splice settings between them, because I don't know what they have set for heat, pressure, the heat, the pressure, and the cooling time. Although I really like these settings. But I want to get different kinds of filament in here and try it out. And then go into Canvas, look at a model, see what we can do to paint it up. We'll do some stuff like pick zones and just fill in. You'll say, hey, I want you to find regions. It's really nice. It says, okay, find regions. And you can say, I want to do the perimeter. You just click the perimeter of a coin and it'll do the whole perimeter. And then see what else we can do, and then just paint a happy face on it, and then have it print. Not anything big. We want it to be small so we can do it in a reasonable time. So, any questions that you all have? You all have been very kind to work with me today. This, by the way, is my first live stream ever. So thank you for putting up with me. If you have any questions, you can leave it in the comment down there and I'll get back to you. All right. Thank you all very much. I'll be back maybe tomorrow. If I don't make it tomorrow, it'll be Saturday. All right. You all have a good night. Now I have to figure out how to end, right? I don't know how to end. Straight.